The morning of the wedding arrived, the way peace arrives in a house that has survived a storm. Quiet, careful, almost suspicious. Sunlight slid through Melody's curtains in soft gold sheets, warming the hotel room where bridesmaids moved like gentle shadows. There was music playing low from a speaker, something airy and hopeful, but Melody could barely hear it over the sound of her own breath. She sat in front of the mirror while someone pinned her hair and asked her if she was excited. Melody smiled. She had learned to smile through things. Excited was the word everyone wanted. Excited was the safe word. But inside, Melody felt something more complicated, a mixture of love and vigilance, like holding a candle in a windy place. On the bedside table, her phone buzzed. Another message from Travis. "Travis, I'm here. I'm okay. I love you. Today is ours." Melody stared at the message until the letters blurred slightly. Today is ours. The phrase should have been a promise. It should have felt like a door closing behind them. No more old chaos. No more Stacy's shadow. But Stacy's shadow had lived too long in the corner of Melody's mind to disappear just because a calendar turned. There had been weeks of therapy, weeks of boundaries, weeks of Travis trying to do everything right. Melody had watched him change, watched him stop excusing what had happened, watched him admit the truth out loud, watched him mourn the sister he thought he had. He did not talk about Stacy like a villain. He talked about her like a tragedy, and that was what scared Melody most. Villains could be defeated. Tragedies didn't end neatly. A knock sounded at the door. Melody's bridesmaid opened it, and a small box was delivered. A pale cream package tied with a ribbon, no return address. Melody's fingers went still in her lap. "What's that?" someone asked. The bridesmaid shrugged. "A gift, I guess. It says for the bride." Melody's throat tightened. She did not open it immediately. She stared at it like it might blink. Something about the ribbon, too tight, too deliberate, made her skin feel cold. A feeling crawled up her spine like a warning. "Melody," her friend whispered. "Are you okay?" Melody forced a laugh that sounded thin. "I'm fine." She reached for the box. The room smelled like curling iron heat and perfume, like celebration. Her hands trembled. She untied the ribbon and lifted the lid. Inside was a single object, a small folded piece of paper and a pair of white gloves. Delicate, bridal-looking, almost antique. She unfolded the note. The handwriting was neat. Too neat. "You'll need these. You don't want fingerprints on what you steal." Melody's breath left her body like someone had punched her. Her friend leaned in. "What does it say?" Melody quickly folded the paper and forced her voice into calm. "Just someone trying to be dramatic," she lied. But her eyes were burning. Because Melody knew exactly who wrote that. Stacy's mind loved symbolism. Stacy's mind loved threats disguised as gifts. And Stacy, locked behind white walls, should not have been able to send anything anywhere. The box wasn't just a message, it was proof. A proof that the door wasn't as closed as Travis believed. 2 miles away, behind a chain-link fence and a gate that clicked with authority, Stacy Hale sat on the edge of a narrow bed and listened to the morning routine in the psychiatric ward. The ward had its own music. The squeak of nurses' shoes, the buzz of fluorescent lights, the distant murmur of patients speaking to ghosts only they could see. Stacy had learned to move inside this place without drawing attention. She had learned when to look better, when to speak softly, when to cry, when to apologize in the right tone, when to let the staff feel like heroes. Progress, they called it. And Stacy gave them progress like a performer gives an audience what it wants. She attended therapy sessions with her hands folded politely, her expression careful. "I understand my boundaries," she would say. "I understand my thoughts were distorted. I'm working on it." The therapist would nod, hopeful. The nurse would smile, relieved, and Stacy would smile back. Because Stacy's mind was not chaotic, not in the way they expected. Her obsession wasn't wild and uncontrolled. It was organized, disciplined, like a locked drawer full of sharp objects. On her bedside table, among approved items, she kept a small notebook. The staff assumed it was for journaling. It was, but not the kind they imagined. In the notebook, she wrote schedules, names, routines. She wrote the shift changes. She wrote which nurse was more trusting, which one looked at their phone too much, which one liked compliments. She wrote about the security keypad by the side door and how often it was left unattended during staff change. And she wrote one line over and over like scripture. "Today is ours." Not Melody's, not Travis's. Hers. Across the hall, a patient began shouting. Words tangled, frantic. A nurse rushed past Stacy's door with keys jingling. Stacy listened. Waited. A few weeks ago, there had been an incident in the laundry room. Nothing dramatic, just a small opportunity. A cart left near the wrong door. A staff member who didn't count uniforms properly. Stacy had taken something then. A plain gray hoodie. Not because she needed warmth, because she needed to disappear. There were other items too, things she gathered slowly, invisibly. A lanyard, a visitor sticker, a pen with the right shape. She didn't break rules openly. She let rules break themselves around her. Now on the morning of the wedding, Stacy rose from her bed and smoothed her hospital-issued top like she was going to church. She looked at her reflection in the small mirror above the sink. Her face was calm, her eyes were bright. She practiced an expression of tired remorse, soft mouth, lowered gaze. Then she practiced an expression of gratitude, smile small, humble. Then she practiced an expression of fear, not because she felt fear, because fear made people protective, and protective people made mistakes. A nurse appeared at her door. "Stacy, group therapy in 10. Stacy nodded. "I'll be there." She waited until the nurse walked away. Then she sat back down. And she began to count, slowly, steadily, until the moment she had been rehearsing in silence arrived. Travis stood in front of a mirror in a small room at the venue, adjusting his tie while his best man made jokes he barely heard. His suit fit perfectly, but Travis felt like he was wearing something heavier than fabric. The weight wasn't fear of marriage. It was the ghost of everything that had tried to ruin him. He remembered the party, Stacy's face, the shocked silence, the way Melody had looked at him after, like she was trying to decide if love was worth the risk. He remembered the day Stacy was admitted, the sound of the door closing behind her, the way his mother had cried into her hands, like her heart had been cracked open. He remembered sitting alone afterward, staring at his phone, thinking, "I lost my sister." Not physically, not completely. But the sister he believed he had, gone. Some part of him still felt guilty, like he had abandoned someone. And then he would remember Melody's eyes, the day Stacy tried to claim his life with violence and delusion. And he would feel another truth rise stronger. I'm allowed to choose safety. He checked his phone. No messages from the facility, no updates from his parents. He'd made a rule. No contact with Stacy, no exceptions. He had stuck to it. But today was loud in the world. Weddings made noise, weddings made ripples. Even locked doors could hear about weddings. Travis swallowed, forcing his mind back to the present. His best man clapped him on the shoulder. "Man, you ready?" Travis smiled. "Yeah." He meant it. He thought he meant it. Then his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. "Congratulations on choosing her." Travis froze. His fingers went cold. He stared at the message until his eyes began to hurt. Then another message came. Unknown. "You'll regret it." Travis's chest tightened so hard he felt like he couldn't breathe. He turned quickly to his best man. "Did you give anyone my number?" "What? No." Travis's mind raced. Unknown number, threat, timing. He tried to call it, no answer. He tried to text back, no delivery. Like the message had come from a ghost. His best man watched his face. "What's going on?" Travis forced a laugh that sounded wrong. Probably spam, some weird scam. But he didn't believe that. Deep inside him, a quiet alarm began to ring, and it sounded like Stacy's laughter. Back at the hotel, Melody couldn't keep the box a secret anymore. She pulled her bridesmaid, her closest friend, into the bathroom and locked the door. Her friend's eyes widened. "Mel, what?" Melody held up the note. Her voice was low. "Read this." Her friend read it once, then again. "What the hell? Who sent this?" Melody's mouth tasted like metal. "Stacy. She's in a facility." "That's what scares me," Melody whispered, "because this means she can still reach outside." Her friend's face hardened. "We need to tell Travis." "I know," Melody said, but her voice caught. "I don't want to ruin today." Her friend grabbed Melody's hands. "Melody, today isn't ruined by you telling the truth. Today gets ruined by you ignoring danger." Melody closed her eyes. She pictured Stacy's calm face in that living room, the way denial looked almost elegant on her. She pictured the party, the phones lifted like knives. She pictured the ex-girlfriends speaking like survivors. She opened her eyes again. "Call him." Her friend nodded, already pulling out her phone. But when she dialed, it went straight to voicemail. Melody's heartbeat quickened. "Try again," she said. Again, voicemail. Melody's hands began to shake. A knock sounded at the door. The bridesmaid outside called, "It's time. We have to leave in 20 minutes. Melody stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. A bride. White robe. Hair half-pinned. Makeup soft. She looked like someone stepping into happiness, but her eyes looked like someone standing at the edge of a cliff. Her friend whispered, "We should tell security. Tell someone at the venue." Melody swallowed. "Yes." Then she hesitated, because the world had a way of making women feel dramatic when they were simply being careful. But Stacy's note wasn't subtle. It was deliberate. And Melody had learned. When a threat comes wrapped in silk, it's still a threat. She nodded. "Let's go." At the facility, the moment Stacy had been waiting for arrived during staff change. When attention scattered, when routines loosened. A nurse hurried by, distracted by a call. A door beeped and stayed open a second too long. Stacy moved. Not running. Walking calm. Purposeful, like she belonged. She wore the gray hoodie under her hospital top, the hood down for now. She had a visitor sticker on her chest. She carried a clipboard she'd borrowed from a wall hook near the group room. No one stopped her at first. People saw confidence and assumed permission. At the side door, a staff member was typing something into a computer, frowning at the screen. Stacy paused, then stepped forward with a gentle, exhausted smile. "Excuse me," she said softly, voice trembling on purpose. I'm not feeling well. They told me I could get some air for a minute." The staff member barely looked up. "You need supervision." Stacy's eyes filled with tears instantly, perfect, controlled tears. "Please," she whispered, "just 30 seconds. I can't breathe in there." The staff member hesitated. Human empathy weaponized. "I'll stand right here," the staff member said. "Step outside. Don't go far." Stacy nodded gratefully, stepping outside. The air hit her face like freedom. She didn't run. She didn't sprint. She walked along the building out of the staff member's line of sight, then turned the corner and slipped behind a maintenance shed she'd noted weeks ago. There, hidden, was a bag she'd arranged days earlier, an item slipped out during laundry, a risk that had paid off. Inside, jeans, a plain shirt, a cap, sunglasses. Stacy changed quickly. Then she moved toward the fence line, to the spot where she'd noticed the camera angle didn't fully cover, a blind corner created by a tree and a broken light. There was a service gate, rarely used, padlocked but old. She had a small tool. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just enough. Click. The lock gave way like it was tired. Stacy stepped out. The world opened. She didn't look back, because in Stacy's mind, this wasn't escaping. This was returning to what was hers. At the venue, guests filled seats in a garden space where white flowers lined the aisle like soft clouds. Music played gentle and slow. People smiled like they believed in forever. Travis stood at the front, hands clasped, trying to breathe normally. Then he saw Melody approaching. For a moment, everything else vanished. She was stunning. Not because of the dress, though the dress was beautiful, but because of the way she held herself, like she had fought for this happiness. Travis felt tears sting his eyes. This is real, he thought. This is the life I wanted. Melody reached him. She smiled up at him, and Travis felt his heart settle, until he noticed something in her expression. A tightness, a warning. He leaned closer, whispering, "Are you okay?" Melody's smile stayed on for the guests. Her whisper was barely audible. "We need to talk, after." Travis's stomach dropped. "What?" The officiant began speaking, words about love, about union, about commitment. Travis listened, but his mind raced. Melody's eyes flicked briefly toward the crowd. Travis followed her gaze. At the back, near the entrance, a figure stood half hidden behind a decorative arch. Chapter sunglasses. Hoodie. Someone watching too still. Travis's body went cold. Because even with the disguise, he recognized the posture. He recognized the way the person's head tilted, like they were listening to private thoughts. His breath caught. No. The figure turned and vanished behind a column. Travis's chest tightened so hard he thought he might collapse. The officiant asked the guests to be seated. The ceremony continued. But Travis wasn't hearing vows. He was hearing the echo of a locked door opening. The vows began. Travis forced himself to focus, forced himself to look at Melody like the world wasn't shifting. When the officiant asked if anyone had objections, silence held. Travis felt a terrible relief. Maybe he'd imagined it. Maybe the figure wasn't Stacy. Maybe fear was making ghosts. Then Melody's friend, a bridesmaid, shifted quickly in her seat, eyes scanning the crowd with frantic precision. Melody noticed. Their eyes met for a split second. Melody's smile faltered. Then, subtly, carefully, Melody reached into her bouquet and touched something. A small folded note. Her friend had slipped it there. Melody's fingers tightened. She kept her face calm, but Travis saw the color drain from her cheeks. He whispered, "What is it?" Melody swallowed. "After." The officiant moved through the ritual. Travis and Melody exchanged rings. Applause rose like waves. Music started again. Guests stood, smiling, clapping, phones recording the perfect moment. Travis leaned in to kiss Melody, relief flooding him. And then Melody stiffened. Her eyes went past Travis's shoulder. Her pupils widened. Travis turned slightly, following her gaze. Behind the guests, near a side exit, the hooded figure stood again. Closer now. Still. Watching. Melody's breath hitched. So small, only Travis could hear it. Then, in a movement that looked like normal wedding chaos, a small group of people shifted, blocking Travis's view. When the guests parted again, Melody was gone. Not walking down the aisle, not surrounded by bridesmaids. Gone, like someone had reached into a scene and removed the main character. Travis froze. For 1 second he thought his mind had broken. "Melody?" he said, voice cracking. People laughed, assuming it was a cute surprise. "Oh!" someone shouted. "She's doing something." Travis's heart began to pound violently. He stepped forward, scanning the crowd. "Where is she?" he demanded, louder now. The officiant looked confused. "Travis!" Travis shoved past the decorative arch, eyes wild. "Melody!" His best man rushed after him. "Travis, what's going on?" Travis didn't answer, because in his bones, he already knew, and knowledge felt like drowning. Melody regained awareness in pieces. First, the smell, sharp, chemical, like something soaked into fabric. Then the darkness behind her eyelids. Then the ache in her wrists. She tried to move and realized her hands were bound. Tight enough to hurt, not tight enough to cut. Her mouth was covered. A muffled sound escaped her throat. The car moved beneath her, engine vibration, bumps in the road. Her body was slumped sideways, half on a seat, half against a door. Her mind scrambled for memory, the crowd shifting, the hooded figure. A hand on her arm, firm, certain, a voice in her ear, calm and close. "Don't embarrass yourself. Smile." Melody's heart lurched. Stacy. Melody forced her eyes open. The car interior was dim. The windows were tinted. In the front seat, a woman drove with smooth hands, steady, unhurried. Chapter sunglasses, hoodie. But Melody didn't need to see the eyes. She knew that calm, that control, that madness disguised as composure. Melody tried to scream. The sound died in the cloth. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror. "Awake?" Stacy's voice asked, soft like a lullaby. Melody shook, tears spilling. Stacy sighed. "Please don't struggle. I don't want to hurt you." Melody's body shook harder at the word want, because Melody understood. Stacy didn't want to hurt her. Stacy wanted something worse. Stacy wanted to erase her. At the venue, the celebration had turned into confusion. Travis shoved through people, knocking chairs aside, ignoring the shouts. "Travis," his mother called, voice cracking with fear. "What's happening?" Travis's mind was a siren. He grabbed Melody's bridesmaid. "You knew something. Tell me." The bridesmaid's eyes were panicked. "She got a box this morning." "A box?" Travis barked. "A note. We thought it was Stacy." Travis felt his stomach drop through the floor. "You didn't tell me?" "We tried," she cried. "You didn't pick up." Travis's phone buzzed again. "Unknown number?" "Unknown." "She's safe. If you behave." Travis stared at the screen, his hands shaking so badly he nearly dropped it. His best man leaned in. "What is that?" Travis swallowed hard, voice low and deadly. "It's Stacy." A sound left his throat, half sob, half growl. His father's face turned gray. "No, she's locked up." Travis looked at him like he was begging him to stop lying to himself. Not anymore. Travis spun toward security at the venue. "Call the police, now! My wife has been taken." The word wife tasted bitter and holy in his mouth. Not even married an hour, and the world had tried to steal her. Guests began recording again, phones raised, hungry for chaos. Travis turned on them, rage igniting. "Put your phones down! Help me!" But the internet never helped. It only watched. Travis's mother covered her face, sobbing. His father grabbed Travis's shoulders, desperate. "We have to call the facility." Travis shoved him off, eyes wild. "We have to find Melody." And as sirens began to rise in the distance, Travis realized something with terrifying clarity. This wasn't just about Stacy's illness anymore. This was about what illness could do when everyone underestimated it. This was about consequence. And this time, the consequence had Melody's name on it. Stacy drove to a place she'd prepared. Quiet, rented under a false name, paid in cash, saved over years of control. A small house on the edge of town, away from neighbors, away from noise. Inside, everything was arranged like a stage. Clean blankets, water bottles, a chair facing another chair. On a small table, a framed photo of Stacy and Travis as children. Twins smiling, matching outfits, frozen in innocence. Stacy carried Melody inside like she was transporting something precious, not a person. She set Melody on a couch gently. "See?" Stacy whispered. "I'm not a monster." Melody's eyes were wide, furious, terrified. Stacy removed her sunglasses, revealing eyes that looked both exhausted and lit from within, like a person running on pure obsession. "You don't understand," Stacy said, pacing slowly. "You came into our story like you were the ending." Melody fought the cloth over her mouth, trying to speak. Stacy leaned close. "You're not the ending," she murmured. "You're the interruption." Melody's tears fell silently. Stacy sat in the chair opposite her like a therapist, like a judge, like a sister welcoming a guest. "I gave you chances," Stacy said softly. "I tried to be nice. I even tried to bond." Melody's body trembled with anger. Stacy's voice sharpened. "But you kept taking him. You kept pulling him away." Melody shook her head violently, muffled cries pushing against the gag. Stacy exhaled, calm again. "It's okay," she whispered. "You'll stop." Then she smiled, small and terrifying. "By the time Travis finds you," she said, "he'll finally understand." Police lights painted the venue in harsh blues and reds. Travis stood in the middle of it all like a man carved out of panic. He gave statements, he showed messages. He explained Stacy's history, the facility, the obsession, the warning signs everyone had dismissed. He watched officers exchange looks. Skepticism mixed with concern, like they'd seen family drama but weren't sure how deep it went. Then Travis showed them the unknown number texts, and the mood shifted. A detective took the phone, eyes narrowing. "We can trace this." Travis's voice cracked. "Do it, please." His mother clutched his arm. "This is my fault," she sobbed. "We should have—" Travis couldn't look at her, not because he hated her, because if he let himself feel that grief fully, he would collapse. His father whispered, "She's sick. She's sick." Travis snapped, turning on him. "Sick doesn't mean harmless." The words ripped out of him like something he'd been holding back for years. He imagined Melody in a car, scared, bound, not knowing where she was going. His stomach twisted so hard he thought he'd vomit. A detective stepped closer. We need to know if Stacy has any places she might go. Friends? Storage units? Old locations? Travis swallowed, mind racing through childhood places, family trips, corners of the world Stacy had claimed. Then he remembered something small, something he dismissed. A few months ago, Stacy had talked about having a quiet place someday, a place away from everyone. He'd thought it was a dream. Now it sounded like a plan. Travis's hands balled into fists. "I don't know," he said hoarsely, "but I'll find her." The detective's voice was firm. "No, you will not do this alone." Travis stared at the police lights, then at the sky beyond them, bright, indifferent. He whispered almost to himself, "I promised Melody I'd protect our love." His eyes burned, "and I'm not losing her." Hours later, far from the venue, Stacy stood in the small rented house, listening to her phone buzz. Calls, messages, voicemails, Travis, unknown numbers, police, the world knocking at her door through wires. She ignored them all. Instead, she walked to the table and touched the framed childhood photo like it was holy. "I did everything for you," she whispered to the picture. Behind her, Melody struggled against her bindings, muffled sobs turning into anger, then into exhausted silence. Stacy turned slowly, studying Melody with the patience of someone who believes time is on her side. "You're probably wondering why," Stacy said softly. Melody stared at her, eyes blazing. Stacy's smile faded into something almost sad. "Because if you marry him, you make it official," she whispered. "You make it permanent." She stepped closer, voice lowering. "And I can't survive permanent." She reached out and brushed Melody's hair back gently, an intimate gesture that made Melody recoil. Stacy's eyes flickered with irritation. "Don't flinch," she said. "Renee, you're in my house now." Then, from outside, far away, a sound carried faintly through the walls. Not a voice, not a shout. A car door slamming. Stacy froze, her head tilted. She listened like a predator. Another sound. Footsteps on gravel, slow, careful. Stacy's mouth opened slightly. Her eyes brightened. "Travis," she whispered, almost delighted. Melody's eyes widened with desperate hope. Stacy smiled at her. "Oh," she said softly, "you think he's here to save you?" Her smile sharpened. "No, Melody. He's here to choose." Stacy walked to the front door. Her hand rested on the lock, and for a moment she breathed like a woman about to open a gift. Then she turned the key. What do you think will happen when she opens the door? Watch out for part 3, the finale of the whole saga.